Union Executive, President, Prime Minister, and Council of Ministers. Union Executive, President, Prime Minister, and Council of Ministers. Constitutional Framework and Structure. Provisions in Part 5th of the Constitution, Article 52 to 78. Comprises President, Vice President, Prime Minister, and Council of Ministers. President as formal head of Union Executive. Real executive power with Council of Ministers, based on British parliamentary system. The President of India, constitutional position and election. Former head of state, Article 52. Elected by Electoral College, Article 54. Electoral College includes elected members of both houses of parliament, elected members of state legislative assemblies, system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, term of 5 years, eligible for re-election. Qualifications and conditions. Article 58. Citizen of India, completed 35 years of age, qualified for election as member of Lok Sabha, not holding any office of profit under government. Powers and functions. Executive powers. Article 53. Formal head of administration. All executive actions taken in his name. Appoints Prime Minister, Minister, Attorney General, CAG. Appoints governors of states, judges of Supreme Court and High Courts. Appoints Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. Legislative powers. Summons and prorogues Parliament. Addresses both houses at commencement of first session each year. And dissolve Lok Sabha. Nominates 12 members to Rajya Sabha. Assent to bills passed by Parliament. Can return bills for reconsideration except money bills. Financial powers. Money bills introduced with his recommendation. Contingency Fund of India at his disposal. Causes Union Budget to be laid before Parliament. Judicial powers. Power to grant pardons, reprieves, respites, or remissions. Appoints Chief Justice and Judges of Supreme Court. Appoints Chief Justice and Judges of High Courts. Emergency power. National emergency, Article 352. President's rule in states, Article 356. Financial emergency, Article 360. The Prime Minister. Appointment and position. Appointed by President, Article 75. Real executive head of government. Real leader of majority party in Lok Sabha. Term not fixed, holds office during pleasure of President. Powers and functions. In relation to Council of Ministers. Recommends persons for appointment as ministers. Allocates portfolios among ministers. Can reshuffle or remove ministers. Chairs meetings of Council of Ministers. In relation to President. Principal channel of communication between President and Council. Advises President on all matters of administration. Furnishes information demanded by President. Other powers. Chairman of Niti Aayog. Leader of Lok Sabha. Chief Government Spokesperson. Plays decisive role in foreign policy. Council of Ministers. Constitutional provisions, Article 75. Appointed by President on PM's advice. Collective responsibility to Lok Sabha, Article 75, Section 3. Individual responsibility to President. Oath of office and secrecy. Composition and categories. Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, Independent Charge. Ministers of State, Deputy Ministers. Collective responsibility. Principle of joint responsibility. All ministers stand together. Government resigns if no confidence motion passed. Solidarity in public and parliament. Solidarity. Individual responsibility. Individual responsibility for department. Resignation in case of serious lapse. Answerable to Parliament for ministry's work. Cabinet and Cabinet Committees. Cabinet inner circle of senior minister. Cabinet committees on political affairs, economic affairs, appointment, security, decisions binding on entire governments. Relationship between President and Council of Ministers. Constitutional position, Article 74. Council with PM at head to aid and advise President. President bound by ministerial advice. President can return matter for reconsideration once. Binding advice after reconsideration. Practical working. President as constitutional head. Real power with Council of Ministers. President's discretionary powers limited. Convention of Presidential Acquiescence. Constitutional safeguards and limitations. Checks on executive power. Parliamentary control through Question hour, 0 hour, debates and discussions. Parliamentary committee, judicial review of executive actions. Financial control by parliament, media and public opinion. Recent developments and contemporary issues, changing dynamics. Increasing role of Prime Minister's office, PMO. Coalition politics impact on ministerial appointments. Judicial activism in checking executive accesses. Growing importance of national security considerations. Administrative reforms. Minimum government, maximum governance. Digitalization of governance. Transparency initiatives. Administrative efficiency measures. The Union Executive represents a sophisticated balance of constitutional provisions and conventions, ensuring smooth functioning of the world's largest democracy while maintaining accountability to the people through their elected representative. That's it for this topic.